All right, let's dive in. Today we're looking at something most businesses don't think about until it's too late.
Uh-oh?
Yeah. What happens when your phone lines go down?
Yeah.
We rely on our phones so much these days for, well, everything.
It's true. So much of modern business is built around that always-on connectivity.
Exactly.
Welcome to the Commio Cast. I'm Tim McLean, Commio's Director of Marketing. Thanks for tuning in. Here we talk about all things cloud communications. Think modern calling and text messaging and more, all in the cloud. In this episode, as always, our hosts Micah and Kali join us from their virtual recording studio at Notebook LM. Guys, take it away.
And you sent me this article called Voice Power, Outbound, Inbound, and Toll-Free Carrier Redundancy. And
Good one, right?
yeah, it's from the company called Commio. It's C-O-M-M-I-O.
It's pronounced Commio.
Oh, Commio. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
So they're all about cloud communication solutions. And their article, it really got me thinking about how crucial backup plans are.
Oh, yeah.
In today's world, we're always connected, so what happens when those connections fail?
It's not a matter of if, but when.
Right. And the article, it paints a pretty scary picture
Pretty scary.
about the potential costs of outages. Like, seriously scary.
Well, think about it. The Gartner Group, they estimated that outages could cost businesses like $5,600.
Per minute.
Yeah, per minute. And
Yeah.
that estimate, that was a while ago. Back in
Before everything really went digital.
Yeah. With how much we rely on the internet and phones now, that figure has probably, I'd say, tripled at least.
Tripled.
Easy. At least.
Yikes. So a single hour of downtime? That could be costing a company hundreds of thousands of dollars.
If not more. And the article mentions that outages can sometimes last for days.
Days.
Yeah. That's a massive hit to your revenue, not even mentioning the damage to your reputation.
Oh, totally.
Imagine your customers, they're trying to reach you, but they can't get through, they get frustrated, they go somewhere else.
And if it's not like a widespread outage, then they just think it's your fault.
Exactly. Talk about adding insult to injury.
Ugh, a total nightmare. But before we get too doom and gloom, let's talk solutions, right?
Yeah. The good news is things have changed a lot.
Like, we're not stuck with just one phone company anymore.
Right. We've got VoIP technology, the emergence of multiple carriers. It's all really revolutionized how we can handle call routing and...
So it's given us more options for redundancy?
Exactly. Like having a backup generator for your phone system.
Okay, so help me unpack this. What exactly do we mean by redundancy?
Well, most people are familiar with network redundancy. That's like having those duplicate data centers, so if one goes down...
The other one takes over.
Exactly. Seamless. But then there's carrier redundancy, and that's specifically about using multiple VoIP providers.
So if one provider has a problem...
Your calls can be rerouted through another carrier, no problem.
Got it. So it's like a plan B for your plan B.
Exactly. You got it.
But isn't that a little overkill? Like, how often do these outages actually happen?
It's true that major outages are not an everyday thing.
Hopefully not.
But they're devastating when they do happen. And even those smaller disruptions, they can add up, especially if your business relies on phone communication.
Yeah, if your phones are your lifeline.
Exactly.
So let's break these down a little further. Let's start with outbound redundancy, the ability to make calls. How did that actually work?
Typically, it involves using multiple carriers and network protection.
So if one carrier goes down, the calls are automatically switched over to a working one.
Seamlessly, yeah.
And I know that article mentioned Commio.
Commio,
yeah. Doing some interesting things in this area.
Yeah, they're offering a pool of over 40 different carriers for businesses to choose from.
40? That's
Yeah.
a lot of choices.
And get this, they let you switch carriers in real time.
Wow.
In real time.
Yeah, so you're not stuck with whatever carrier your provider uses.
Yeah.
You have control.
That's awesome. But what about inbound redundancy? The ability to receive calls. The article really stresses how important that is.
Oh, especially for businesses that really depend on incoming calls,
Yeah.
like customer support centers.
Right, or healthcare providers or...
Imagine a healthcare provider and their phones go down. It could be a life or death situation.
Absolutely. And what about emergency services?
Yeah, every second counts.
So inbound redundancy, that's not something to mess around with.
Not at all.
But the article mentioned most providers struggle to offer it.
It's true.
Which seems like a big problem. It's definitely more complex, but it is possible.
Okay, good.
And that's where things like toll-free numbers and this whole RESPORG concept come in.
RESPORG. Okay, now you're using the jargon.
Sorry, RESPORG. It's short for Responsible Organization.
Okay.
Think of them as a certified expert in managing toll-free numbers. You know those 1-800 numbers?
Sure.
Well, there's a company called Somos.
Somos.
Yeah, SOMOS. They manage the database for all toll-free numbers, and they certify certain organizations, mostly telecom providers, to be RESPORBs.
So it's like a seal of approval.
Yeah. It means they're the trusted guardians of those numbers.
Okay, so if your business is using toll-free numbers, you want to make sure your provider is a RESPORG.
Absolutely. It's a guarantee of reliability.
And the article mentioned Commio again here as a leader in this.
Commio. Yeah, they're one of the few providers offering inbound toll-free redundancy.
They keep popping up.
And they've got this smart toll-free option. It's not just about having multiple carriers. You can actually switch between them like
In real time.
in real time, just like with their outbound solution.
Wow, so you've got options if something goes wrong. You're not just stuck.
Nope. You can adapt.
That seems like a huge advantage, especially when every second counts.
Oh, absolutely. And Commio's doing something else. No other provider seems to be offering inbound redundancy for regular phone numbers.
Wait, really?
Yeah, standard 10-digit numbers.
So even regular business lines can have that level of backup.
Yep. Think about the typical scenario when there's an outage. Your calls aren't going through, you have to scramble to file a ticket, then you're just waiting, hoping for a quick resolution.
So stressful.
And it can cost you a fortune while you're waiting.
So how does Commio handle it differently?
They can reroute your calls to a different carrier in minutes.
Minutes, not hours or days.
No, like about 5 minutes for the first number and then even faster for the rest.
That's a huge difference.
It is.
But is all this redundancy really necessary? I mean, outages are disruptive, but
But they're not everyday occurrences, you're right.
Yeah.
But that's exactly the point. Because they're so rare, we tend to overlook them until it's too late.
until you need it and you don't have it.
Exactly. Better to be safe than sorry. Right.
True. But how should businesses decide if this kind of investment is right for them? It can't be right for everyone, can it?
Well, I always recommend a cost-benefit analysis. Take some time, calculate what even an hour or two of downtime would cost you.
Just an hour or two, yeah.
Can you afford to lose that much revenue? Can you risk the hit to your reputation? And if those smart toll-free options or inbound redundancy are mission critical for you, then reach out to somebody like Commio.
Get a consultation.
Exactly.
It seems like that peace of mind is worth a lot these days.
Especially when we're talking about something as vital as communication.
Well, this has been fascinating so far. We've really gone deep into the technical side of things.
Yeah, all about the tech.
But there's another layer we need to explore. Like, what happens when things do go wrong, despite our best efforts?
Right. The human element.
Exactly. How do you make sure you're providing the best possible support to your customers, even during an outage? How do you keep things running smoothly?
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we'll be talking about next.
Okay, I can't wait. This is getting good.
It's going to be good. You know, when we talk about redundancy, it's easy to get caught up in all the technical stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The carriers, the routing protocols, all those behind-the-scenes things.
Right. All the nuts and bolts.
Exactly. But like we were saying before, there's this whole other side to it that's just as important.
The human side of things.
The human element.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even the fanciest tech,
Right.
it's only as good as the people using it and the people supporting it.
So true. So let's talk about that customer experience during an outage. What are some things businesses need to think about to make sure they're providing the best possible support, even when things go wrong?
Communication is key.
Okay.
But I don't just mean the ability to make and receive calls.
It's more than that.
It's about being clear, proactive, and empathetic in how you communicate with your customers.
I like that. Tell me more.
Okay, so let's say your business is having an outage.
Uh-oh.
The worst thing you can do is leave your customers in the dark.
Right, like radio silence.
They're trying to call you, their calls are going unanswered, they have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, I'd be frustrated.
That's how you lose trust, how you lose customers.
So what's the antidote? How do you prevent that from happening?
Be transparent. As soon as you know about an outage, acknowledge it.
Okay.
Let people know you're having technical difficulties and that you're working on fixing it as quickly as possible.
So you're managing expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the human touch is so important. Don't just send out a generic automated message.
Right, nobody wants a robot voice.
Take the time to write a message that's actually empathetic, that's reassuring.
Okay.
Let your customers know you understand their frustration, that you're doing everything you can to get things back online.
You're showing them you care.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of a sincere apology.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
It can really de-escalate a tense situation.
Now, we've talked a lot about Commio and their solutions.
Yeah, Commio.
Commio, right.
Yeah.
But even if you have those systems in place, what about the human side? What role does that still play in making sure things run smoothly during an outage?
Even with the best automation, there will always be those edge cases.
Yeah.
Times when you need a human touch.
Where a person has to step in.
Because every customer interaction is unique, every situation has its own, nuances.
Right. It's not one size fits all.
That's why it's so important to have a well-trained support team.
Yep.
People who know about your redundancy systems, but who are also really good at de-escalating tense situations and who can provide that personalized support.
I can only imagine how important those skills are when customers are already stressed out because of the outage.
Oh, absolutely. Your support team becomes the front line in those moments.
Yeah, they're the face of the company.
They're the ones talking to your customers directly, calming them down, reassuring them that you're taking care of them. So it's almost like a human layer of redundancy.
I like that.
Yeah.
A human safety net. Because even when technology fails, it's that human empathy and understanding that can really bridge the gap.
And keep those customers happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these days, those customer relationships are more valuable than ever.
Oh, totally.
Customers have choices. If they feel ignored, especially when they need you the most, they'll go somewhere else. This has been a really interesting conversation about how to handle the customer side of things during an outage. But redundancy also plays a huge role in just keeping the business running smoothly behind the scenes, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about customer-facing stuff.
Right.
It's about keeping the whole operation running smoothly.
So what do we mean by that? How does redundancy affect things internally?
Well, think about it. Redundancy isn't just about making sure people can make and receive calls. It's also about making sure your employees can access the data, the applications, the communication tools they need to do their jobs.
Okay, so it's bigger than just the phones.
It's about keeping everything connected.
So like if one system goes down,
It can create a ripple effect throughout the entire organization.
the domino effect.
Exactly. If a key system goes down and you don't have redundancy in place, it can disrupt workflows, it can kill productivity,
Yeah, nobody wants that.
and it can create a whole cascade of problems across the company.
I can imagine that would be super stressful for employees too, not being able to do their work.
Absolutely. And that's why clear communication internally is just as important as that external communication with customers.
Okay.
You need to keep your employees informed about what's happening, what steps you're taking to fix the issue, what they can expect in the meantime.
Transparency is key on all fronts.
It is. It builds trust, it reduces anxiety, it helps people adapt.
And I imagine that having good redundancy systems can also help protect against data loss. Right.
Absolutely. Data redundancy is a critical part of any good disaster recovery plan.
Okay.
If you have multiple backups of your data stored in different locations.
You're less likely to lose everything if something goes wrong.
Exactly. You're minimizing that risk.
Which in today's world, where data is everything,
Oh, it's huge.
it's essential
Data loss can be crippling for a business,
in so many ways.
both operationally and financially.
So redundancy, it's not just about keeping the phones ringing. It's about protecting the entire business.
That's a great way to put it. It's about resilience. It's about business continuity. It's about having that peace of mind of knowing you've got a backup plan in place.
A plan B, a plan C.
Exactly. You're prepared for anything.
I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about the technical side of redundancy, its impact on customer experience, and how it affects internal operations. But I'm curious, what does the future hold for all of this? What's coming next?
That's a great question. And that's a perfect segue into the last part of our deep dive, the future of redundancy.
Okay, let's do it.
Buckle up. It's going to be interesting.
Okay, so we're back. And before the break, we were just about to step into the future.
Yeah.
What trends and innovations are shaping how businesses approach redundancy, with technology changing so fast?
Yeah, things are changing quickly. Get ready for some sci-fi stuff.
Okay.
One of the biggest things on the horizon is AI, artificial intelligence in redundancy.
Hold on, AI. That sounds pretty futuristic. How does that even play into keeping the phones working?
Well, imagine AI-powered systems that can detect outages the second they happen.
Okay.
But not only that, they can automatically put the best redundancy solutions into action.
So no humans needed.
That's the idea.
What?
AI is getting really good at this stuff.
Is that even possible right now?
It's closer than you think. AI and machine learning, those algorithms are getting so good at analyzing network traffic, they can spot anomalies, they can even predict potential problems before they happen.
So it's like a crystal ball for your phone system.
Exactly. And as these AI systems get even smarter, they'll be able to make really complex decisions about redundancy way faster than any human could.
Okay, that's amazing.
Oh,
Especially for businesses where every second counts.
absolutely. And another trend we're seeing is this convergence of different communication channels.
What do you mean by that?
Voice, video, messaging, it's all coming together.
It's all becoming one thing.
Yeah, unified platforms. And as these channels merge, redundancy has to adapt.
So it's not just about having a backup phone line anymore.
Right. It's about making sure you have seamless continuity across all your communication channels, no matter what device people are using or what platform they're on.
So redundancy is becoming more holistic. It's like an ecosystem.
Exactly. You need a resilient communication ecosystem that can adapt to anything and keep the information flowing.
And what about the cloud? I feel like everyone's moving everything to the cloud these days.
Oh, the cloud is a huge part of how redundancy is evolving.
How so?
Well, one of the biggest advantages of cloud-based solutions is that they have redundancy built in. Okay.
By spreading your data and applications across multiple data centers and different locations, cloud providers are offering a level of resilience that would be super expensive for companies to build themselves.
So it's like outsourcing your redundancy to the experts.
Yeah, kind of. And as more businesses move to the cloud, we're going to see even more innovative redundancy solutions coming out.
This all sounds amazing. But are there any downsides? Any challenges businesses should be aware of?
The biggest challenge is simply keeping up with how fast technology is changing.
Right. AI, the cloud, all these new communication channels, it's a lot.
It is. Businesses have to stay informed.
So they don't get left behind.
Exactly. And another challenge is the complexity of these new technologies. As these redundancy solutions become more powerful, they also become more intricate.
So it's a trade-off.
Yeah, you get more power, but you might lose some simplicity. That's where having a good partner, an experienced provider, like we were talking about with Commio.
Yeah, Commio. They can really help businesses figure out all the complexities and find solutions that are both powerful and manageable.
This has been a great conversation. It's really made me realize how important it is to think about redundancy ahead of time.
Absolutely. Don't wait for a crisis.
Be prepared.
Exactly. And as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with this.
Okay.
Redundancy isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. In today's world, any disruption to your communication can have a huge impact on your whole organization.
Yeah, you're right.
Investing in good redundancy solutions is not optional anymore. It's just smart business.
So redundancy isn't just about backup plans. It's about building a more resilient business.
Well said. It's about having peace of mind, knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of redundancy. And a big thanks to our expert for sharing their insights.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
Building amazing experiences that engage and delight your customers is easy with Commio. Our smart, reliable voice and messaging solutions are easy to implement and scale with you so you can deliver more calls and texts, be more competitive, and save money. With Commio, you get peace of mind and happier customers. Find out why thousands of software platforms and enterprises trust Commio with their communications. Get a demo today.